Welcome back, Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. It's great to see you again, and I hope you're doing well. Today, I'd like to share with you guys 5 top movie adaptations that I wouldn't recommend. And by that, I just mean that I would pass on watching these movie adaptations because I don't feel that they did the book justice, that they didn't really capture the essence of the book. I know that movies are a different medium, and they can't always do the same level as a book can, and that often causes them to be okay or decent, and some of them, though, are very excellently adapted to the screen. But these ones, I want to just say, in my personal opinion, I would not recommend for you. I would recommend you pass on them just because I don't think that they ended up doing a good job representing the heart and soul of the books. So let me know what your guys' top recommendations to pass on, or what you would not recommend to me as a movie adaptation from a book. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on that. Also, if you end up liking this list, go ahead and give me a like, and if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you as part of the Fantasy Fiction Fanatics community and do hear all of your fantasy adventures. Okay, let's go ahead and get started right into the list. The top suggestion on this list to pass on is The Hobbit. And I know that that's technically 3 movies, but in general, I don't feel that this adaptation did well. I think this is a common opinion. I do know a lot of people mention that they don't like The Hobbit's adaptations a lot, and it is understandable. I think that they tried too hard to be CGI and change things that didn't need to be changed, and then it started to make it look fake versus Lord of the Rings trilogy, which looked very real, and they really captured, I think, the height of cinema in many ways and how real it can be. This particular trilogy did not capture it as well and did make things more unrealistic and a bit more unimmersive, as well as the storyline of the book, The Hobbit, is much smaller than The Lord of the Rings, and so they stretched this plot line too thin, and doing 3 huge, long movies just did not have that capability from the smaller amount of story that they were pulling from. So overall, don't feel like it's the best adaptation. I think it would have been much better to do 1 long movie, Lord of the Rings length movie, than to do 3. I don't know, maybe that's just me and thinking that it could be done in that small amount of time, but I definitely think it did not need 3 movies at all. It is much more of a shorter, concise journey than that. So I would definitely just pass on watching The Hobbits. If you haven't at this point, it is really not worth it, at least in my opinion. Next on this list that I would pass on as far as movie adaptations go, I would pass on Inkheart. It is a young adult novel, or maybe children's, I don't know exactly how low the level is, but I still love the story even to this day as an adult. I've read the book several times, or the whole series, is a trilogy, several times, and it's really, really great. And this movie seemed so promising, especially because Brendan Fraser was playing one of the main characters, whose name is Mo, and Brendan Fraser is the inspiration to the author for Mo's character in the book. It is on a dedication, I believe it's in Inkspell, which is book 2. And I definitely see how she got that inspiration. Before I had read that dedication, I was even thinking, when I saw the announcement for the movies, or the first movie, that Brendan Fraser would have been an excellent Mo, that was a perfect choice. And then later I realized that's because she did dedicate that character to him. So I was super excited to see this movie. I thought it was going to be really great. And unfortunately, it fell very flat for me. It is not that great. Mo, as Brendan Fraser plays Mo, is the best part of the whole movie, in my opinion. It's very rushed. It's very, doesn't capture a lot of the nuances of the characters and the events. And not only that, they, for whatever reason, decided that they were going to make this movie into just one movie by completely changing the ending of the movie from what it is in the book to something that closes off and finishes up the story, and it just was not a great ending. I did not really think that they even ended it in a way that was realistic, especially with having already read all 3 novels. So unfortunately, wasn't really that great of a book to movie adaptation. It might be something that you enjoy if you haven't read the book, but in my opinion, it would be hard for me to separate that. So I just think if you like the Inkheart series, just pass along on this. Or if you have kids that end up really liking this series and they want to see the movie, I would just recommend you steer them right along because it is not worth it, especially if you love the books. Okay, next one is Vampire Academy, which also happens to be a young adult series. But again, I do think as an adult, you can really enjoy this series and really like it a lot. It's actually one of my favorites. And they have a Vampire Academy movie that came out like 7 or 8 years ago, and it's not that great. There's nothing I can really say that's like really bad about it. I mean, it's not like it's horrible. I've seen worse adaptations, but I just don't think they captured the essence of the characters in this one. I don't think they captured the essence of Rose, especially as the main character, nor the essence of what the book is leading on to. Obviously, it didn't do well enough that they made a second one. So I just would say for this movie, even though I can't really say it destroys the book in any way or that it didn't try to follow the book, I don't really feel like the way that they brought it to life really did it justice, and I don't think that the characters are captured in a way that I think would represent the book well. So, wouldn't be the absolute worst adaptation, but definitely one that I would just say go ahead and just pass along, especially if you love this book series. I don't think that you will be super impressed with the adaptation. All right, moving right along to the 4th one, which is the Golden Compass, which again, I have noticed that most of these are young adult movie adaptations, which I'm not sure why young adult movie adaptations seem to be the ones that are failing. But these are the ones that I would say are my top of the list of ones that are not great adaptations. The HBO series that is has done all 3 seasons or all 3 books of is an excellent adaptation of this. Definitely go check that out over the Golden Compass one, because the Golden Compass one, once again, though, was not horrible. It was not in the fact that it deviated a lot from the book and the events. I don't really feel like it captures the essence of this book either. I think it is kind of lackluster. It is very forgettable. In fact, half the movie I've kind of blocked from my mind because it just didn't go great. I don't know. It's not one I can really pinpoint exactly how I think it doesn't do justice, but I do know that it just doesn't feel like the essence of the book. It feels like it was kind of forced. It feels like the characters and the writing just didn't quite agree. It is very fast-paced to try and fit everything in. And that, I think, is one of the things that's the most problematic for me as a viewer, is when the movie feels like it's just flying along through the events and you're just like, I don't even get to enjoy the significance of anything because everything is just flying through all the events and there is no point that we stop and actually have a real interaction with anybody. And that, I think, might be what I was feeling with the Golden Compass. So instead of watching the Golden Compass, especially since there's only the first one, there is no sequels to it, just go ahead and watch the HBO series. That one is much more of a good adaptation that really takes its time, really dials deep, and really tries to do justice to the books. So try that one instead, not the Golden Compass. And last but not least is Beautiful Creatures, which is also a young adult novel series. But once again, this is also a series that I think is great for adults as well. I do think it is a bit more mature, so could be good for all ages, and maybe you've read it. Or maybe you, if you have kids, they might be in the age group where they are deciding to read beautiful creatures themselves. And this one is very similar to the Inkheart series in the fact that it doesn't follow the book that closely, and I'm not saying that that has to be the only determination of being a good adaptation, because there are a couple other books to movie adaptations that do well that are not really anything like the original context. But in this case, it tried to follow the book for like the first half of the book, and then the second half of the book it just like crumbles apart because they tried to do something different with it, and they left this one open for another movie. So I'm not really sure what the point of was to change the story. At least with Inkheart, I could tell why they changed the ending. They wanted a finality to it, which the book did not have because it had 2 more books. This one, it leaves open for more, but it changes the ending to kind of like accelerate certain events, and it just didn't work for me. It didn't go well, in my opinion, and obviously it didn't do well enough to make that second movie. So this is another one that I just say go ahead and pass along on your movie adaptation list. Do not even think about trying it, because I just don't think it will do it justice, and I don't think that you will appreciate the movie and will most likely want to just pick up the book instead. So those are my 5 movie adaptations that I think you would just be better passing on. I wouldn't recommend them. Go ahead and try some different adaptations. Again, most of these were young adult or child level reading books, which I'm not sure why that was the trend. It just ended up being that way. And there are plenty of other movie adaptations out there that I think did well, both as a young adult genre and as adult genres. But these are the ones that I think you can do without watching. If you have seen any of these, let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear whether you actually liked them, whether you didn't like them, why not, whatever it may be. I just love to hear your thoughts. And again, don't forget to share with me what your guys' most passing on movies or ones that you wouldn't recommend. I would love to hear exactly which ones you think are not worth watching. And I guess that's it for me today. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!